All right, in today's podcast, Stephen Shane, it was an absolute pleasure to talk with him. It's actually the second conversation I had. We've never met in person, but our paths cross because we both deal with second home buyers, and he's been at it for 30 years in Aspen, Colorado. Take a listen. You'll see a lot of similarities to his business and our business here in Baja Sur. Stephen, good morning. How are you doing?
I am well, Nick. How are you?
Excellent, excellent. Well, coming from Aspen, what's the weather like right now?
You know, it's a little overcast. We like it either bluebird day or dumping snow. So this is kind of an in-between, but we'll give it a couple of hours and see what happens.
Has it been snowing a lot this season?
So we got a lot of snow recently, a ton. And we have four mountains. You know, one of the things that makes Aspen unique. And it's crazy. Let's say the four mountains, so it's Aspen, also known as Ajax, Highlands, Buttermilk, and Snowmass. And if they are all within, I don't know, a 7-mile radius of one another, at any given time, Snowmass can get 1.5 feet and Aspen may only get 6 inches. So we have a vast offering for anybody here.
Aspen is not your hometown. You're actually originally from where?
I know this is going to be a big surprise to your viewership, especially with the accent that I've maintained 30 years later, but I'm originally from New York. I moved here, much like a lot of other people, 30 years ago. And when I say much like a lot of other people, it wasn't my intent to stay here. So I was in a brutal family business. Father and uncle really did not get along. It was retail boating supply stores, a very small business, $8 million business. And after X amount of years of locking myself in the bathroom and crying, I gave each of them a respectful ultimatum, and I had to do it twice because they wouldn't go in the same room with one another. And I said, look, either I'll buy you out, in essence, I'll pay you not to come in, we sell the business, or you can run it, I'm done. And in '94, they sold the business to a company called West Marine, and I ran the New York Marathon. And I then took a place sight unseen in Aspen, and everything fell into place. I never left.
Is that when you got into real estate, when you moved to Aspen?
Great question. So what happened is I saw the prices of real estate here, and even without an MBA, it didn't take much, it didn't take a genius to figure out 5 or 6% on X amount of dollars. So I got my real estate license, but at the same time, I had this retail background, and a young fellow approached me because it was the advent of snowboarding in 1994. And he had a fraternity brother or a guy from college who was going to lease space at Keystone, and they wanted a snowboard store there. And he asked me if I would get involved. I didn't have any money. I told him I'd take a look at a business plan. And then concurrently, I found somebody who said, look, if you do it, I'll do it. And the next thing I know, I owned 6 snowboard stores throughout the state of Colorado: Keystone, Copper, Boulder, Vale, Denver, and the last one, Aspen. And then my then girlfriend, now wife, was smart enough to say to me, hey, Stephen, you make more money doing one real estate deal than you do paying yourself a salary to travel around the state, merchandising snowboard stores, snowboard for fun, and, focus on real estate, which I did. She was right. She continues to be right. So there you have it.
And so that was after how many years doing the snowboard business?
I would say I was in the snowboard business for, 3 years. I used the Aspen location kind of as a place to meet people and let them know I'm also a real estate broker. But to succeed in real estate, you've got to be a broker. When you walk into a room, you need to be viewed as Stephen Shane, real estate broker, not Stephen Shane, owner of Polar Revolution. I think he has a real estate license, not at the level that we want to buy and sell real estate.
So back in the 90s, what was the price per square foot of real estate, and what has happened now 30 years later?
Well, as smart as I am, if I had a brain in my head, and hindsight is 2020, I would have bought anything and everything I can get my hands on. Right. So I remember when it was a big deal to have something sell at $1,000 a square foot. Now in Aspen, 30 years later, your building, so if you were to develop something or
Right.
build your own home, your building at 2,000 a square foot, and the last two deals I did were north of 5,000 a square foot. So, and they were not brand new homes. They were nice. Well, one was a great location, needed a remodel. The other one was a pretty darn good location, but not A plus, and beautifully executed. And both of those, and that was in January, so 2 months ago, sold at north of 5,000 a square foot, 13 million for a townhome that needs to be remodeled. It was 2,600 square feet, and 27.5 million for a beautifully executed home, but not ground zero.
Got it. So 500% in 30 years.
Fast math.
That's
Sure.
not too bad. Not too bad.
Well, we currently are, in the last 10 years, our average appreciation is 6.5% per annum. Now, that's everything. I think the luxury sector would be greater than that. You know, our biggest problem, Nick, and I'm sure it's not different in other luxury markets or regular markets across the country, is a lack of inventory. So the demand here is far greater than our supply. So a lot of deals that take place are off-market deals where you need to pry away that house, that property from the homeowner. When you have the disparity of wealth continues to grow, and we have so many ultra high net worth people who want to be here, and they really embrace a quality of life, and they're also used to superior quality things, automobiles, planes, homes, whatever. So we need to deliver something that they want, and they will pay for it. Okay. I mean, there's going to be deals at $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 a square foot. I have a penthouse listed in Aspen now. What's the square footage of this penthouse? It'll come to me in well, it's got, I think it's around 5,000 square feet, and we're asking $65 million.
Holy smokes. That's 12,000.
Almost 13,000.
13,000 a square foot.
Yep.
And what is it that, because I've read about it, I see it on TV, what makes Aspen such a luxury location?
Great question. Easy answer. So what we have, as we discussed, are 4 mountains. So that's number one. But really what separates us from Jackson Hole or Sun Valley or Telluride or Vail is a sense of community and culture. And I'm not dissing these other places. They're great. As a matter of fact, if I show property, if I'm showing condos, I don't only sell $50 million homes. If I'm showing a condo and there's a 1,250 square foot, 2-bedroom, 2-bath condo, and it's $4.5 million, I will say to my buyer, look, if you are coming here specifically to ski, yes, we've got 4 mountains and arguably the best skiing there is, but if you're coming here just to ski, you can probably get a single family home in Sun Valley for $4.5 million, not a 2-bedroom, 2-bath condo. But if you're coming here for everything else that Aspen has to offer, and that is culture. I mean, when I say that, I don't say it lightly. We have Theater Aspen here. We have Jazz Aspen here. We have the Aspen Music Festival, the Aspen Ideas Festival, the Physics Center. I mean, we have the best restaurants of any resort destination, the best shopping of any resort destination. We have schools, true schools. There are full-time people here and a sense of community. If those are all things that are of interest to you, then you got to get in the game. And as you said, 500x in 30 years, whatever you buy today, you're going to swallow hard, but you're going to get in the game, and that price point will be the new baseline established, and that home is going to be worth more tomorrow. That's the reality.
You're on the ski hills in Aspen. I'm on the beaches of Cabo, and it's the same thing. It's the location. There are certainly a lot of beachfront communities that you could buy in Mexico, but Cabo is the premier. And so we command the most per square foot throughout Mexico.
You're preaching to the choir. I am a Cabo guy. I probably go 2 times a year. I love to fish. So I got to get my fill of the ocean. And there's a particular resort that I love, and I go with my family, on a regular basis. It's an amenity-driven resort. It's in close proximity to Aspen versus going to the islands, right? And look, I work hard, and I always need something to look forward to. I tell my wife all the time, just give me something to look forward to. And, my greatest joy is spending time with my family. And even if it's just 4 days in Cabo, it's great. And if I can fish 2 of those 4 days, I'm still back at the resort by 3 o'clock in the afternoon, spend time with the family, out to dinner, spend a whole day not fishing with the family, then fish again. Couldn't be happier.
Well, that's the lifestyle that our clients live. And so you end up living that kind of lifestyle. In fact, it was when we first met, you were telling me about buying a membership at a very exclusive club in Aspen, right? And those are the kind of like pay to play, live the lifestyle that your clients live.
The fact of the matter is, if you're going to be in the luxury sector, you don't enjoy success by accident. There's a formula. Number one, you work hard. I am readily available all of the time. And look, it's a double-edged sword. I care very much about my clients. When you do care very much, you're going to have a little less sleep. You're going to ride an emotional roller coaster with them because you're vested. I came here with nothing. I didn't get a payday on the sale of Shane's Marine. Trust me, it was just enough to go around for Uncle Robert and Father Harvey to retire. But you can, as a broker, reinvest in yourself and build your business. But it takes a discipline. So yes, I am a member of the Aspen Mountain Club. Your listeners, I think, would be shocked at what it costs to become a member. But when I walk into that room, and by the way, all it means is you're in a private dining room and you're served instead of walking with a tray. And, but you're still buying the lunch, and then there's a lounge and there's a bar. And I mean, it's pretty bougie.
Yeah.
But those clients, the people from table to table are either my clients or should be my clients. And so that's an investment in my business and in myself. I am the title real estate sponsor of Art Crush. Do I like contemporary art? Sure. Am I a art aficionado? Hardly.
Mm.
Do I enjoy the patrons of the arts, and are they potential clients? Absolutely. So, you make decisions on continue to grow your business. I have, Nick, a rule. It's my own rule, and it's called the incremental rule. Very simple. The average single family home price in Aspen is $18 million.
Mm-hmm.
If a membership for the Aspen Mountain Club is $250,000, if I do one incremental sale at 18 million and I represent a buyer, 3% on 18 million is $540,000. I'm good to go. Now, everything's good on the spreadsheet. It's got to work.
Right.
But I'm vested. I care, and I like enjoying and working with bright, successful people. And there's all types of success, but they're interesting people. And that's what I do. I am a luxury real estate broker in Aspen, Colorado.
Who are your clients? I mean, who's buying and selling an average $18 million home and going far beyond that in some cases, many cases?
So when I started in the business, I would say that the great majority of my clients were in finance, and then commercial real estate, and then everybody else. Now it's tech/finance, commercial real estate, and everybody else. And I think that you need to be relatable. The people that I work with need to know that I understand who they are and where they are coming from. So again, am I an art expert? No. Do I know a little bit about art? Sure. Wine? Enough to be dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
Business? Yes. So when I am interacting with and dealing with and supporting and advising my clients, they need to know that I understand who they are. And it's so, and you know this, Nick, if we are just acquiescing, if we're just that guy who's nodding because we don't want to ruffle the feathers of our high net worth people, we're doing them a disservice.
Yep.
We are their stewards. Do they understand facts and figures and data as well as I do? Yes. Do they understand it specific to Aspen? No. There's so many nuances, right? I mean, there's nuances in Cabo. Is somebody going to live through new development next door? Is the beach in Cabo a swimmable beach or not? I mean, that's a big one, right?
Right.
If you're going to this area, is it really windy versus this area, which isn't? How far are we from all of the restaurants and downtown, et cetera, et cetera? Here, I can go into the west end of Aspen, and one home can be selling at $5,500 a square foot, and another one literally an eighth of a mile away could be 8,000 a square foot. Why? Well, one's on Hallam Lake, one's not. One has Aspen Mountain views, one doesn't. One is on a street that when people cheat and leave town and don't want to be on Main Street at 4:30 in the afternoon when all of the trades are leaving and heading down Valley, there's a particular street in the West End that people drive through to kind of meander and not go onto Main Street? Do you want to be there and deal with the trade parade? Probably not. So, with all of the data that's available and with all the metrics and with all of the digital platforms, there is no substitute for you or me.
With that being said, how has selling real estate changed in the 30 years in Aspen?
So it's changed since the biggest change happened during COVID. Okay? Because I don't care about, mortgage-backed securities. I mean, that was artificial. Okay? The fact of the matter is, again, the simple laws of supply and demand, there's more people that want to be here than we have inventory. I mean, right now, Telluride, my colleague, is about to list a Compass broker, 2 Four Seasons towers in Telluride. My Compass colleague in Telluride, his name is Bill Fandel, terrific guy. Compass colleague in Vail, Ty Stockton, is about to list new development. I think there's 24 condos that he can sell or townhomes. We don't have that here. Okay? We don't have any developable land. So what's changed is during COVID, there was a mass exodus from major metropolitan, densely populated cities around the country to places like Santa Barbara and Montecito and Telluride and certainly, Jacksonville, but certainly Aspen. And especially Aspen because we offer full-time amenities, if you will, right? My wife is the chair of Aspen Country Day School. My wife is the chair of Theater Aspen. Again, we get back to education and culture. So now, all of a sudden, people who no longer wanted to be in New York, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Chicago, Miami, and wanted a better life, not that there's anything the matter with any of these cities, but they were maybe nervous about being in close proximity to anybody and everybody during COVID and moved here. Then when we had a working inventory to accommodate second homeowners, now it was contracted insanely where we've got full-time people and second homeowners. There was a point in time, remember, I'm selling, last year I sold $300 million of real estate, but this is just me. I'm not a team, I have support people. Yeah. But I remember during COVID, my support team, and thank God for my support team, we must have had 20 contracts laid out on a table, okay, with people under contract. There's only X amount of hours in the day, so COVID changed everything. I would say most people who we sold a home to who came here and were living here full-time have stayed full-time. The few that have not stayed full-time have kept their home as a second home because they love Aspen, and very few move back to where they came from.
And you mentioned there's no more developable land in Aspen. And so what does that mean? I mean, are people buying houses, tearing them down and rebuilding houses?
Yes. So what happens is the land is worth more than the structure.
Of course.
Right?
Yep.
So when you go to the Hamptons and you go to, Gin Lane, or you go to Palm Beach to South Ocean Boulevard, or if you go to Greenwich, Connecticut, or Westchester, And there are these classic estates. I mean, they don't get torn down, they get redeveloped.
Right.
Here, it depends. So there are historically preserved miners' cottages that were built in 1880 or 1900. So they cannot be torn down.
Okay.
What happens, and this is prevalent in the West End, I'm pointing like you know where it is. So what'll happen is there's I don't know, a 2,000 square foot Victorian.
Mhm.
A developer will lift up the Victorian, put it
Uh,
on a flatbed trailer, drive it 5 miles out of town, excavate below, then develop below, put the Victorian back down, and then add on as well. So that 2,000 square feet of the Victorian hasn't changed on the exterior. I'm talking the
Wow.
windows haven't changed, the porch in front of the house.
Yeah.
Everything has to be, remain authentic, but you can excavate below and add square footage and add to the
Behind.
side or behind to add square footage. So that's one type of redevelopment. The other is, if a house was built in, I hate to say it, 30 years ago,
Mhm.
1995, is that right, math wise? I don't know.
Or
1985, 2005,
yeah.
whatever. If it's not up to snuff and that land is so valuable, a buyer will consider the cost of redeveloping an existing floor plan versus taking, raising it, knocking it down and building from the ground up. And then how much more is a house from the ground up worth, with today's floor plan versus redeveloping that older home? More often than not, that house is coming down.
Stephen, how do clients find you? I mean, how are you getting business these days? Is it because you have memberships at exclusive clubs? Your wife is in the culture and the community. Your office is well located. You're doing crazy online lead generation. How are you getting business?
Yes.
All the above.
First of all, I've been doing this a long time. Secondly, I'm going to be either the number one or two broker every year in the state of Colorado, let alone Aspen. So if anybody is searching, that helps. But 25 years, 27 years, 30 years later, I have worked with and performed well for hundreds of buyers and sellers. Nobody outworks me. As a matter of fact, I have a soon to be, God willing, 94-year-old father who I call virtually every morning when I'm driving to work. And I give him a hard time because he didn't teach me to work smart. He taught me to work hard. And of course, he gives me his wise guy answer saying, well, it seems to be paying off. You've got to remember that we are dealing with significant assets, no matter how wealthy our clients are, significant assets. And the fact of the matter is, our clients deserve our undivided attention and expertise. And they deserve to have us be readily available. So all of those things come into play. And between referrals from past clients, receiving referrals from one of every major feeder market, I receive referrals from New York, Miami, Boca Raton, Palm Beach, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Houston, Dallas, Austin, New York, Chicago, all the time, right? Well,
Right.
you do this, Nick. Anybody who has a valuable client wants to know that client is going to be taken care of in the same fashion that they would take care of that client. You know, if friends want to refer business to friends, knock yourself out. I can't win them all. But if somebody wants to know that their client is going to be taken care of, well taken care of, you know, then there's a good chance I'm their guy.
Stephen, I have one last question for you. If you were to change one thing, something that you've learned over the 30 years that you could have applied in the very beginning of your real estate career, what would that be?
So the fast, easy answer, and I know this isn't the direction you're heading, so I'll give thought to answering it a second time. But the fast, easy answer, of course, is that I, on a personal level, bought more real estate in Aspen than I did. That's easy, okay? But by the way, I'm sure it's the same thing for everybody in Cabo or you know, the Hamptons or Palm Beach, whatever. You know, I think that what I haven't figured out is how to strike that perfect balance. And anytime I'm asked to do something, whether you would like me to participate in a podcast, or if Compass wants me to go, I mean, this month, between February and March, I spoke in Denver to 250 agents. I spoke in Los Angeles to 250 agents. I just came back from Texas and spoke to 250 agents. I think I'm on my way to New York tomorrow. I mean, I've got to kind of learn a better way of striking that balance.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I learned to work hard, not smart. And I think if you can learn to work smart, and maybe if I did this from the beginning, I don't think I'd be forfeiting business. I just think that I would aggregate better. And so, you look, anybody listening, we are in the people business. We are all human. Nobody knows what's going on behind closed doors. Nick, I don't know what happened this morning. I don't know what happened last night to you in Cabo. Same here. And I think that empathy goes a long way. We are in the people business.
Well, spoken like a true professional, and it's no mystery to me why you're so successful. And Stephen, thank you so much for being on the podcast. I look forward to your visit here shortly. Hopefully before the end of the year here in Cabo, we can go fishing. And
I'm dragging you out there, Nick. I'm dragging you out there, baby.
I'll go out there. I'll definitely go fishing with you. I'll bring my son along. Also, he loves to fish.
Great.
And I look forward to meeting here and also in Aspen. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Nick. I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Take care.
Bye-bye.
And everyone, until the next one, bye for now.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Nick Fong Podcast. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast and the YouTube channel at youtube.com/Ronaval Real Estate and follow Nick on Instagram at NickFong_Ronaval. Ready to find your Baja dream home? Check out the latest property listings at ronaval.com or findmexicohouses.com. Hasta luego.